Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm in widescreen now. That's not normal. I mean, okay, yeah, granted, it's sort of cute. I'm, like, branching out and looking more professional and shit, but I'm not used to having this much extra space on either side. That's... Anyway, I'm not gonna let that get to me. I have a movie to fucking cover. Tonight's movie is one I bought from Family Video. Back when they had like a bunch of movies for like $2. And this one sat there for almost a month and nobody else touched it. And I was looking at it going, you know what, fuck it. If no one else is going to touch the stupid thing, I fucking will. It's a horror film from 2006. The title. Yeah, it's usually a bad thing when I have to bitch about the title before the movie's even started. That normally doesn't bode well for any film, but tonight's movie is from 2006. It's called Bloodz vs. Wolvez. This is from director Z. Winston Brown, who does two things with his films. He either does softcore porno parodies of things. A lot of those titles are really shitty sounding, but I'm probably going to cover a couple of them at some point, just because some of them have almost piqued my interest because they sound just stupid enough to be interesting. Or he does really stupid sounding horror movies with a fixation on the letter Z. Let me first of all explain for those of you who don't know what the fuck it means whenever you try to pluralize something with a Z. It means one of two things. It means either you're 10 years old and you think that looks edgy and cool, or you took a lot of shots to the head as a kid and you still think pluralizing shit with a Z is cool. Frankly, that was proven as a failed marketing gimmick in the mid-90s, and kind of surprised people are still doing it in fucking 2006, when this movie was made. Now, for those of you who can't tell just based on the title, this is a film where two street gangs made of vampires and werewolves are having a gang war in New York City. So basically it's Twilight with more balls, or it's Underworld with less budget. I don't know which way to sum it up yet, but I will find out as soon as I watch the movie. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Bloodz vs. Wolvez. Damn it. That was some of the shittiest gore I've ever seen in any fucking movie ever. And I would like to mention now, on top of having horrible gore, I find it almost funny that my first episode filmed in widescreen is me covering a movie that was too cheap to shill out for a fucking widescreen camera. That's kinda sad. So wait a minute. So the wolves will call a truce with the Bloodz if the Bloodz are willing to give them rent-free housing and a job. Well, at least they're not shooting for the fucking stars when it comes to making fucking requests, man. God damn it, that is so fucking stupid. Okay, so we just had a gunfight in a very small room between two vampires and what looks to be three fucking wolves. No, 4 wolves, I'm sorry. Out of all of it, we had one dead vampire, one dead wolf, one other wolf who was shot with what I can only assume is a silver bullet, but he somehow is able to survive it. Mind you, this was a small enclosed space, everybody was shooting guns, one of them had a fucking assault rifle, but yet only 3 casualties, and out of those 3, we have 2 fatalities. God damn it, nobody in this movie can shoot for shit, dude. Oh yeah, this here's what I really wanted to see, is I wanted to see a werewolf taking a shit on a fucking newspaper. Yeah, it's real tasteful, guys. Totally tasteful. Oh God, that scene was just painful. Alright, folks, I'd like to say this right now, because this is really beginning to bother me with this fucking movie. there should be a rule of thumb when you're making a movie. You don't have the money for blanks, don't put gunplay in your fucking movie. Don't, and especially when you can't afford bullets, don't make gunplay the primary thing in your fucking movie. It's gonna look like shit. And Bloodz vs. Wolvez here is perfect evidence of that. You know, guys, I actually do find it a little bit funny that the only the only difference between a transformed and a non-transformed werewolf in this movie is that a transformed werewolf has on Lee press-on nails. I find that shit to be almost hysterically cheap. God damn, dude. Thank God it's fucking over. Alright. You guys can hear this shitty music, right? Picture an entire movie with a soundtrack that is this bad. Shut the fucking movie off. Let me start with the sound, since I just mentioned it. I have a lot to cover, but I want to cover the music first. Mind you, I am one of those people who I enjoy a lot of different genres of music. I enjoy rock, metal, hip-hop, country. I love rap. I mean, I can listen to a lot of rap on top of everything else that I listen to. So, it's a safe bet when I tell you this is some of the worst fucking rap music I've ever heard. The rhymes are all weak as shit, and the fucking beats suck. But hey, that is the most minor sin this fucking movie makes. Believe me. Horrible music is the last thing the filmmakers would have to worry about. I mentioned earlier about the guns. I have another rule. Besides, if you can't afford blanks, don't make a fucking movie which has a lot of gunplay in it. Another one. If you're too cheap to afford squibs, and you're too stupid to figure out how to actually composite CG squibs onto people when you shoot them, don't put gunplay in your film, and certainly, or better yet, don't put in any shots where you can see somebody being shot from point-blank range and you don't see any real effect, but they still reel back as if they were shot. That happens quite often in this film. In fact, while I'm talking about the guns, please, another rule why you should have blanks in your gun is because it'll actually give the guns realistic recoil. Because there's this one actress, my God, she is in at least 2 scenes firing a handgun. A rather small handgun. One that there's no way in hell it could have a whole lot of kick on it. But every single time she shoots, the gun is like popping up like this. Or if she's feeling real lazy, the gun will just sort of slowly come up like this. It happens both ways, sometimes within the same scene. Which tells me, 1, the actress has never fired a gun in her fucking life. 2, there was nobody on set who could even attempt to teach her how a gun is supposed to recoil. And 3, nobody in the film just fucking cared. Oh my God, it's just, this film was trying to go for the most ghetto version of Underworld you could ever imagine. And it fails on every level because at least Underworld has a plot, and Underworld probably had professional writers work on it. The movie still looks like shit. I haven't seen any of the Underworld films, but I'm going to assume that they're at least better than what I just witnessed. Now, I'd like to show you guys the cover again. Alright, you can see over here is supposed to be their, like, werewolf, right? Let me bring it in there a little bit closer so you guys can see. Yeah, there are no werewolves that look like this in the entire fucking movie. In fact, if anything, the werewolves look more like the vampire on the fucking cover. Why? Because at least 3 of them wear this red headband. I'd like to talk about that. This is a film about 2 street gangs. I don't care if they're fucking supernatural street gangs. I always thought there was a rule about gangs. That was, you had some kind of a gang colors. That way you could, you could pick out one gang member from someone who isn't. So why is it, out of the entire gang, whenever all of them are wearing headbands, like 3 of them constantly wore red, 1 of them always had on a black headband, the other one always wore blue. It just seemed a little bit off, because besides that, there's no other way to really tell whether or not the person you're talking to is a fucking wolf, unless they start shitting on a newspaper in the middle of your fucking apartment. By the way, yes, that actually does happen in one scene. It is really just a throwaway scene. There was no point for it to be there besides to show you that, yes, they are just like dogs, and they will shit on a newspaper instead of using a toilet. Writing. Let's finally just forego all of the bullshit I just talked about and all the like minor piddly shit. Let's get into the basic shit here. Let's talk about writing. Oh boy, writing. Writing in this film was shit. Mind you, the plot is one that has been done to death and has been done better by other people. The fact that you want to take vampires and werewolves, you want to have them fight, you want to set it in a fucking urban setting, all of that is fine. It's not going to help you if you don't know how to fucking write, though. And in this film, the story is almost non-existent beyond that. There are fucking plot points that make almost no sense. A real good one. Let me just try to explain. Alright, we have our head vampire, Asiman. He is trying to wage peace with the wolves. His wife, who's like a vampire queen or some such bullshit, is trying to sabotage this. It's never fully explained why. Apparently it's because she wants her lesbian girlfriend, who she's having an affair with, just to piss off Asiman and like bruise his ego. The vampire queen thinks that either her or her, girlfriend should be the ones who take over the clan, or it makes no fucking sense. The dialogue makes almost zero sense because there's a huge disconnect from line to line. It really almost feels as if every line of dialogue in this film was written by a totally different person who had no clue what the fuck the previous line was and just sort of knew the basic gist. The dialogue is that unnatural and that disjointed. Perhaps maybe that's because the acting was complete shit, but really, again, I always say this, I am not going to expect miracles when a script is this bad. So acting is going to get a slightly free pass. Plus, this film, I would be totally shocked if this film was made for more than $4,000. So they probably couldn't afford real actors. They probably just found people on the street and said, "Hey, would you like to play a vampire today?" So there really isn't much there. Camera work. I'd like to talk about the camera because there's a little secret when you're making a movie. And even someone like me who's never made a movie in his life can probably tell you this. If you're going to make a movie, don't find shooting locations that are covered in mirrors. I say this for two reasons. Number one, if you're making a film where half your cast are supposed to be vampires and you're using every single vampire trope available, mirrors are going to make that difficult because you can see your actors in the mirror. More importantly, you can see the cameraman in the mirror. You could probably make a drinking game out of this fucking movie if you really felt the need to suffer by just taking a shot every single time you catch a glimpse of the fucking cameraman. Oftentimes, it's very, very fleeting. There is one scene where it's so blatantly obvious, it's almost laughable. And that makes me almost think that this movie was supposed to be a comedy, and Mr. Z. Winston Brown just totally forgot about the fact that it was supposed to be funny. That's really how bad the camera work is, especially when you can clearly see the cameraman everywhere. While I'm talking about the camera, let's cover sound. Since you can see the camera so fucking often, there's one thing that you notice. You notice that there is no boom mic anywhere. There is no boom mic operator, which is telling me that when they made this film, they were using a camera a lot like mine, which is a built-in microphone, and that's what they used. The difference is that you guys can hear this, and this is some pretty solid sound, quality. Sound quality in this movie is ridiculously tinny, and that's partially, it's really tinny and echoey, and that's partially because they're filming mainly in large empty rooms. There's bound to be a ton of echo, and the filmmakers were too fucking cheap to loop in the dialogue and make it sound just a little bit better. Let me tell you guys, this right here is just one of those movies where everything that could possibly go wrong does go wrong. So much so that the only difference between, a vampire and a werewolf is that vampires wear fancy-ass suits and only have fangs on their upper jaw, Werewolves wear ghetto street clothing, have fangs on both sides and when they on both jaws, and when they fully transform, they get these big, ugly press-on nails on all of their fingernails, on all their fingers, because apparently that is supposed to show that they are a true werewolf now, being bathed by the light of a full moon. By the way, speaking of playing with all the tropes of vampires and werewolves, if you're going to mention that your vampires cannot be in the daylight, don't shoot your fucking film during the day, and do not imply that your head vampire is a is a regular golfer at a country club who is totally available tomorrow afternoon. It's pretty obvious if he's a fucking vampire and he's not able to go out into the sunlight, he's not going to be available to be your fucking caddy if you ask him tomorrow afternoon. It would probably kill him. But that would take some common sense, and Mr. Z. Winston Brown apparently is so fucking allergic to common sense, sanity, and intelligence that he insists on pluralizing everything with a goddamn Z. I hated this movie. Spoiler there, in case you guys haven't picked up on that. This movie is complete shit. There's no way I could recommend this crap to anybody. There really is no way. If you are one of those people who thinks that every single film involving either vampires or werewolves are guaranteed to be awesome, go ahead. I dare you to watch this and then tell me that your goofy little fantasy theory makes any fucking sense. I could not even recommend this thing as just one of those movies you and a bunch of friends could watch on a bad movie night. There's no way. Because normally when you're looking for movies for a bad movie night, they have to be something you can kind of laugh at. And this movie, the only things which are going to make you laugh are the really laughably bad gore effects, what few are in the film. The fact that blood in this movie has two different thicknesses. Either it either has the consistency of Kool-Aid or Jell-O, and that changes from shot to shot. As well as the color of the blood changes too, quite often from two different shades of red and purple. It's very weird, believe me. Unless you find that kind of stuff to be just absolutely hysterical, and if you want to make a drinking game out of spotting the cameraman in every fucking mirror, then by all means, go right ahead and suffer through this thing. It will probably be the funniest 83 minutes of your entire life. However, if you don't want to drink yourself stupid, and if you have higher standards, you can find better vampire films, you can find better werewolf films, you can probably find better low-budget films featuring either of them. This movie is a goddamned waste, and I swear to God, I just want to smack the talentless, cockeyed prick who wrote that fucking film until hopefully I can knock some sense into him. And yet still, after watching this, I'm almost curious to how bad Mr. Z. Winston Brown's softcore porn films are. Yeah, he has a bunch of those, too. All of them parodies of movies. Yay! I may have to go and BitTorrent one of those, because there's no way I'm wasting $2 on another one of his fucking movies. One was plenty, thank you. So, folks, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.